The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
Let's check in on Bitcoin again. The CoinDesk Bitcoin XPX index is currently trading at over $49,000. And the CoinDesk Ether Price ETX index is trading at $3,300. The new DFX CoinDesk DeFi index is trading at $706. So our next guest is an investment advisor focused on helping financial advisors explain crypto to their clients. Tyrone Ross's company is called Onramp Invest, and he's the CEO. He joins us for today's markets discussion. Welcome, Tyrone.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Let's just start out with a quick markets update. Recently we had Bitcoin crossing the psychological barrier of $50,000 after people were sort of complaining about summer doldrums and a summer bear market. What, in your view, is what drove Bitcoin over 50,000 finally?
I think the same thing that always drives it up: the psychological barriers, as you mentioned, in speculation. It's amazing that all of the different movements in the market, and with Bitcoin, there's always this, well, what moved the price and why is it going down and why is it going up? But it's still up over 4 times since last year. There's going to be these little movements where folks are trying to figure out, are we going back into this raging bull or have we entered a bear market? But from a financial advisor's lens and just folks in general, I think stepping away from the price a bit and just looking at on-chain analytics and seeing the usage and daily active addresses and things like that, to me, is more telling than the price dipping below or above 50,000. But, when you have a market that trades 24/7, 365 and highly liquid, this is what you get.
So Tyrone, what's the biggest obstacle you find as an advisor, or when you talk to other advisors? What do you hear is the biggest obstacle for investors to purchase crypto even after they learn more about it? We always talk about, well, investor education would lead people to buy crypto, but of course it's not 100%. So where's that obstacle, and what causes it, and what do you think advisors can do to overcome it, or should they even bother to overcome it if it's not right for the investor?
So I think it's more on the advisor side. It's advisor education, right? Hence the wonderful newsletter that you all put out. That's a great need. So advisor education is lacking. The retail side of the business is very robust. Retail has been booming, right? If we go back to 2017 and before that. So, the first the investment class led by retail investors, the institutions and the advisors are trying to catch up. So I think the biggest hurdle here for advisors are themselves. And as an advisor and the CEO of a company that is building for advisors, 99% of financial advisors should be in a learning phase here. They shouldn't be doing much because there's so many hurdles that financial advisors have to jump in order to even give advice or allocate on behalf of clients. So those of you that are tweeting, fire your financial advisor if they don't put you in Bitcoin, please stop that nonsense. But anyway, back on my rant. I think if advisors get educated, thus educate the clients, it's a lot easier to bring clients into a holistic relationship. Because again, financial advisors plan, estate planning, investment management is not the same as asset management. Wealth management is very different because you're looking at the whole life of the client, not just their investments.
So Tyrone, it seems like advising on crypto would be kind of a perilous field to get into just because it's so unpredictable, it's so volatile. People are always asking me, why did Bitcoin do this? Why did Bitcoin do that? Nobody really knows, right? So I guess my question for you are do you have any golden rules for advisors, when an advisor is getting into advising about crypto, like what they should do, what they should avoid, just some sort of baseline stuff to keep them from getting into really serious trouble?
Absolutely. Couple things. As far as practice management, you want E&O insurance. Make sure you update your E&O insurance. If you are a SEC registered investment advisor, Form CRS. All advisors update your ADV and your fee agreement. Those are the core 4 for the advisors. Core 4 for the client. Take your client back, redo their risk tolerance. Second one, investor policy statement. Pull it out. Mr. and Mrs. Client, you said you had no interest in crypto at all. Now you own $1 million of Dogecoin. What is going on? Financial plan. Take the client back to the financial plan. Why does this have anything to do with your financial plan, Mr. and Mrs. Client? You said you were going to retire. Now you own Uniswap. Doesn't make sense. Lastly, estate and inheritance planning. Who besides you understands what Solana is? If they do not, we need to figure out who that person is and talk about a digital fiduciary.
So you mentioned the investor policy statement. Do you think that, do you find that, have you talked to any advisors about issues when, for instance, investors get a winning streak, their unwillingness to rebalance their portfolio to adhere to the IPS?
Yes, and I think that's, well, think about it, right? With an asset class that's so volatile, it may start out as a 10% allocation and then quickly be a 90% allocation. And I think studies have shown if you are allocating to Bitcoin, especially, that you should rebalance more than you usually would. And I was just talking about this on Twitter, actually. We advisors and the investment community in general takes for granted that we know what it means to rebalance, but the average individual isn't doing that. And they're definitely not going to do it on a very frequent basis. So an advisor would be good to, remind clients of that. But I think, again, in that statement, you're basically setting it's a prenup for your relationship with the client, so to speak, right? So I think if advisors really lean on that, for instance, meeting with the client 2 or 4 times a year, with crypto, you should definitely meet with a client once a month.
So Tyrone, let me just ask you one final markets question, but from your standpoint as an advisor. Right now, DeFi is really hot and there's all these DeFi projects, but for new investors, DeFi is really confusing. It's really hard to make sense of. How should a new retail investor make sense of DeFi, and how could they know which projects are worth investing in and which they should stay away from?
Fantastic question, because it's very compelling to see the yields in DeFi when your bank account is giving you 0 point nothing. I would encourage folks, again, you have to be where the information is. It is on Twitter, it's on Discord, but here, CoinDesk, the right resources. You can't go to your Barron's, your Wall Street Journals, and your Yahoo Finance. You have to go to where these projects are being vetted and getting, true background on how they are getting that yield. I think if investors do that, they'll be okay, because it is very compelling, again, when, you still get that little purple lollipop and a sticker from the bank more than they're giving you anything in your account.